burgers grown in a lab could be coming to a grocery store near you. Farmers grapple with how to handle these new meat alternatives. With new meat alternatives on the grocery store shelf, how do you regulate it and how do you label it? Ranchers care for their cattle in good weather and bad. On her farm, Hillary Miracle says she tries to remember who the consumer is.
All of us as a farmer, we need to be someone's farmer.
Companies are racing to bring new alternatives to the grocery store, saying they can bring the taste of meat without what they see as the harmful effects of livestock production.
Conventional production and slaughter practices are inhumane, unsafe, and environmentally destructive. And more consumers want alternatives.
Nebraska Farm Bureau members are hashing out their position on these new products developed from animal tissue in a lab. Part of that is what agency should regulate it. The other is what to call it.
We are very nervous about what words are being used. Words matter. And so when you have an industry that is talking about clean meat, there's obviously a dirty side to that, and that's what they're trying to brand us at. And so we need to work through this. We need to work through what we call this, where it's regulated. That's the conversation we're trying to have right now.
As consumers look for alternatives, it could create opportunities for farmers who grow things like peas that can be used in plant-based products.
There are benefits to farmers. There are benefits for younger producers, anyone else who wants to be involved in production agriculture. There's a market there. And so, we're not trying to say any of this stuff is bad. We're not trying to say any of this stuff can't be produced and can't be consumed by people, but what we want to make sure is, again, that we're protecting the titles and the names of things that our producers have paid for.
However, when it comes specifically to meat sourced from a lab, farmers think consumers will continue to buy traditional products from the farm.
There's going to be a huge cost differential. So I really think the lab meat is probably going to hit more of a very, very small niche market. And so while we need to be hyper vigilant, I don't think it's probably going to take over the markets. And when it comes to this issue, we haven't heard from Congress on what they see as the path forward. Steve White, NTV News, Kearney. It's certainly not unusual for folks in agriculture to have a job in town as well. We met a couple recently that both have jobs in town, but still trying to stay connected on the farm. Ryan and Amy Musgrave of Clay County recently took home Nebraska Farm Bureau's Excellence in Agricultural Award. It's an award for young farm families who make most of their income off the farm. Ryan served in the Navy and now delivers distillers' grains for a living, while Amy works for the USDA. They began raising sheep, then dairy and meat goats, poultry and beef cattle, which is no surprise for Ryan.
I grew up very diversified, to the point where my parents were actually more worried about what I was going to come home with from a 4-H trip or FFA trip. We started out with just sheep. When we lived on the farm, we didn't have enough pasture for cattle.
Amy also comes from a livestock background.
I grew up, my dad is a veterinarian in Sutton, and so I grew up raising cattle, and we've had sheep also. And so I grew up helping him and raising cattle and stuff like that.
Ryan has an 11-year-old son who's happy to be on the farm. The couple serves as pen pals and uses social media to highlight how they treat their animals. In addition, they're active in Clay County Farm Bureau. For their efforts to promote Nebraska agriculture, we honor the Musgraves as our Farm Family of the Month. Steve White, NTV News, Kearney. Looking ahead to next week, we plan to have more from that Pulse Crops Expo and visit with the Nebraska Corn Board. We'll see you then as we watch how agriculture helps Nebraska grow.